Sheila Shimmers, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a first impression on a foundation. We're going to be also doing a wear test. This one is the Givenchy Tint Couture Everwear foundation. I saw this and it kind of caught my attention because it has SPF, it said natural finish, and it kind of said medium to full coverage, and that's something that really calls my attention. Every time I see that, I want to try it out. This is going to be my first foundation trying out from this brand, but it seems pretty promising, so I'm pretty excited. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe below, like this video, and let's just go ahead and get started. Like I said, this one is called the Tint Couture Everwear foundation by the brand Givenchy. It does come in this really pretty packaging like this. It's all black. It has the Givenchy logo right here. And let's go ahead and open it up and see how it actually looks like. I think the bottle was probably the one thing that caught my attention. It's a glass jar, and then it has this really cute silver cup right here. It's kind of shiny and heavy, I would say, but when you look at it, it does have just a Givenchy, the name of the foundation, obviously, and then it does say that it's supposed to be full coverage, set and finish, and it's supposed to be a 24-hour wear. Now, what I liked about this foundation is that it does have SPF. I feel like that is something so important in the morning, because that's one less step that you have to do. I usually kind of alternate my foundations. If I have a foundation that has SPF, I'll use a moisturizer that doesn't, and then I'll do that for kind of every day when I know what I'm wearing. But yeah, it does have a little pump right here. I chose the shade White 215. It did match me up to White 200, but I thought it was too light, so I went ahead and kind of did my own research, looking at the pictures, looking online, looking on YouTube reviews, and I came up with a shade White 215, so I hope it fits me. It does retail for $52, so it's kind of pricey, I would say, and it does bring 20 shades. It also brings 1 fluid ounce, and yeah, that is all it says. The directions, it does say to use with your fingers. I think I'm going to be doing kind of a sponge and a brush, just because I don't want to get all my hands all dirty today. So let's just go ahead and apply this baby all over our face. I'm going to be priming today. I'm going to be using this Amberlee's Lake Cream, and I really like this because it works as a moisturizer and also as a primer. I think it has aloe vera and shea butter, so it's really good for people that have, dry skin like me. It also applies really nice under foundation. Forgot I wanted to give you guys kind of a comparison on prices. I'll be doing kind of high-end and also drugstore. So I kind of went through my foundations and I found a couple that are natural finish. The Giorgio Armani one also brings a fluid ounce, but it retails for $64, and it's supposed to be medium coverage. So I think that's kind of the one that resembles the most to this one. I'm going to do kind of a swatch of this one and the Giorgio Armani side by side. So this would be the swatch of the Givenchy that I'm trying today, and this one right here would be the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation in 6.25. This one is a little bit warm for me, but I can still make it work, and that one retails for $64, so it's about, I think, $12 more. Then the next one I have is this NARS Long Radiant Foundation. I have this one in the shade Santa Fe, and this one does retail for $49, also brings a fluid ounce, and it's also a natural finish. So you can see that these two are kind of similar, so I'm hoping this one fits me because this one is always too warm. Drugstore one, it will be the Wet n Wild Photo Focus. That one retails for $7, and it's also a natural finish, and it's full coverage. So that one I don't have with me because I kind of got rid of it because it does break me out, but it's a great foundation and a lot of people really love it. So what I'm going to be doing is pumping I would say 2 pumps, because that was kind of a small one, and I'm going to be dotting this on just one side of my face. I'm going to put my hair back. I think it's going to come a long way. I'll be using my brush for this side. I'm going to leave it there. I still have a little bit left of that pump, not too much, but I'm going to start just blending this out. And yeah, right off the bat, it's definitely a medium coverage, but it's blending out pretty easily. Shade-wise, I think I'm so glad I went with the White 215, because I feel like the White 200 would have just been way too light for me. And that's looking pretty good. I mean, one thing I do like about it is that it's looking like skin. You know what I mean? Like, it's obviously giving me a little bit of coverage, but it's also looking like my skin. So it's not looking too crazy. So what I'm going to be doing is, you can see I have a little bit left, not too much. So I'm going to be applying the same amount, 2 pumps, and going onto the sponge side. It does seem like it would be pretty easy to build up. I don't know if you could build this up to a full coverage, but we're going to see that in a second, because I think I'm going to apply maybe half a pump on each side. And then I'm going with a dry sponge. I really don't like just wetting these. That's just what I like. I think this side is looking a lot smoother than this one. You can tell. But I think the brush side is definitely giving me a little bit more coverage. So, I mean, if you're willing to sacrifice how it kind of appears on your face for a little bit more coverage, then I don't think it looks bad on either side. Alright, so I'm going to come in a little closer so you can see how it looks like with 2 pumps on each side. I think I really like it. I'm definitely seeing that little bit of glow on my skin. It definitely looks very natural. It does not look matte whatsoever, and I think it looks very healthy, which I like. I also really like this shade. I think it's a perfect match for my skin. So I'm just going to be taking kind of what's left on my pan right here, and I'm going to be putting this on some areas because I don't think I want to go with just another pump. I think it smells a little bit flowery, but I don't think I mind that. I think it's actually pretty nice. This is how it's looking. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I would say from just applying a little bit over top, it's definitely very easy to just build up. And I think this side is looking very seamless, and I think I can't see really, like, I can see a little bit of my acne scars right there, but I can totally see myself like covering those up if I apply a little bit more foundation. This is where I feel comfortable, and this is where I'm going to leave it. On this side, you can also see my acne scar as well, and you can kind of see that little pimple right here. You can't really see it like going into fine lines or showing any texture, which I really like, and I'm definitely seeing that little bit of glow that I really like on a daily. So I think this is very comfortable to wear so far. I'm going to be kind of putting a little bit of concealer and also setting my face. I'm going to be using just a pressed powder. I'm going to be using this pressed powder from Jouer, and I think for concealer I'm just going to go in with Too Faced Born This Way. I'm going with this pressed powder. I have this one in the shade Light, which I'm glad I did because I was going to take the tan one, and this one kind of leaves a little trace of color in my skin, and it's definitely slightly darker than my skin. So I would say if you're more on the fair side or anything lighter than me, I would go for something lighter. Now I'm going to fast forward this part. I'm going to finish off the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be back to let you guys know how it's wearing and how it's looking. Guys, so my makeup is on. I do have to say, I think, or I have the feeling that it kind of oxidized just a tiny little bit. I mean, I obviously did apply some bronzer, but I think it's looking kind of darker on this areas right here. I don't know, that's just my thoughts. You can probably see it right here, but I think it's still a pretty good match. So just be careful when you match online, because I think Y200 wouldn't have worked for me whatsoever. But I do have to say, I am kind of enjoying this so far. I feel like it looks really pretty. This shine right here is obviously not from the foundation. I did put this Charlotte Hollywood filter on the shade, in the shade 3. I think that makes it look so much more just, you know, shiny and glowy. But as far as the foundation, I didn't really set right here. I only set under my eyes and my forehead, and I think it's looking pretty good. I'll come a little closer so you can see how my face is looking kind of flawless actually. And I really like that. I still feel like it looks pretty natural. I feel like what I like about this foundation is you can go very light with it if you want your skin to kind of shine through. For people that have a little bit more of acne scars and stuff like that you want to cover up, you can definitely build this up to a full coverage. Applying it with a sponge or applying it with a brush, and you can also just use 1 pump instead of 2 for each side. But I think it looks really pretty. As far as price, I do have to say it's a little bit more on the pricey side. You kind of go that from the beginning, from the get-go. As soon as you hear Givenchy, you know it's going to be expensive. As far as the bottle, I really love this. I think it's stunning. The only thing is that the cap obviously gets a little bit dirty, and it does have the logo right here. I forgot to mention that earlier. But I think it feels really luxurious, really expensive, and just really, really cute. I do like that it has a pump. I like that it comes with 1 fluid ounce, which is kind of like the normal or what we're expecting from foundations. It also brings 20 shades, so I feel like it's very easy for you to find your shade if you tried. And yeah, so far I'm loving this. I am going to obviously be doing a lot more check-ins throughout the day to see how this is wearing. I think this and kind of the Jouer powder mesh really nicely because it's not looking powdery or anything under my eyes, and I think it's, you know, covering everything up really nice. Everything is set really nice over top as well. I feel like the bronzer was really easy to blend. Everything just kind of, you know, meshed together. The only issue I had was a tiny little issue right here on my nose when I was rubbing this filter from Charlotte Tilbury, but I feel like that was partly my fault because I kind of went like this, and obviously it's going to take a little bit of foundation off, but something to keep in mind when you're using something liquid over a foundation that you already set. It was obviously a user error, but yeah. The foundation itself, I feel like it was a little bit on the runny side, but not as bad as the Giorgio Armani. I feel like it was not thick and also not runny, but I feel like the smell of it's really nice. Once you have it on your face, it kind of doesn't really set. It kind of feels not tacky, but just like a little tiny bit, just like it's there. But it's not something that bothers me. I kind of was noticing it more once I had like just applied it, but now that it's been like a couple of minutes, it's kind of, you know, setting a little bit more. I really like how it's looking and how everything turned out. So that is it for this clip. Let's just go ahead and see how it wears throughout the day. I will keep you guys posted the whole way. I'm on here. It's 10:40 right now. I applied this foundation at 6 a.m. As far as flashback, I didn't see any flashback. I did take one photo with flash and one without, and I didn't think that it gave me any flashback at all. I do mention that because it does have SPF and it tends to have just a tiny bit of flashback, but we seem to be good on that sense. So yeah. Here's how it looks like right under the sun, and I think it's looking pretty comfortable and natural. I think the fact that it has SPF helps it have a little bit more shine to it, but it's not looking greasy or anything, so I really like that. It's a little bit dewy, but I wouldn't call it like a dewy foundation. It's just very natural and skin-like, and I like how everything is just still, you know, still there. I'm not seeing any fine lines right here or on my forehead. I usually have one across my forehead. The only thing I'm showing is just a tiny bit of texture right there, but I think it's looking pretty good. So far, no complaints. I am going to wear it obviously throughout the day because I'm still at work and the day's not over yet. So I think this is going to be probably a 15-hour wear, or if not like a 12-hour wear. So yeah, we're really going to test out this foundation. It's pretty hot here today, and I am going to be spending some time outside, so I want to see how it looks. So we are now inside. It's been 2 hours since my last check-in, but I did want to show you guys just in this lighting so you can see a little bit more of the texture on my face. I feel like it hasn't gotten really any more dewy or oily, and it hasn't really rubbed off anywhere, but I do see that it kind of became a little caked on some areas, like right here. It just looks a bit heavy, and it wasn't looking like that when I first applied it. I feel like my skin is showing like its texture now, and I don't think I love that. I've had so many foundations where that doesn't really happen, and I know I applied 2 pumps on each side, but I didn't really go heavy on my forehead at all, so I wouldn't really understand why that's happening. I'm gonna come in a little bit closer. You can see what I mean. It's right here, right there, and over here. It just looks a bit, I don't know, like a bit heavy. And it's kind of looking like if I apply a very matte foundation under the hydrated skin. I feel like that's what it would look like. I have this on for 9 hours, and I feel like right here it's starting to crack a little bit. I'm also looking very dewy, and my texture is definitely coming out. I don't think I hate this foundation, but I don't think it's one of my favorites. I just think I have so many other ones that kind of perform a little bit better. I said I was gonna be outside a little bit. I ended up not being outside that much. I think I was only outside for like 30 minutes. So that shouldn't have made the foundation like act up or anything. But I feel like right here, you can definitely see the shine coming through. I do have dry skin, so if you had oily skin, I couldn't even imagine how this would be looking on you. But right here, you can kind of see that it's not looking so great. All right, so we have circled back around. It's been 11 hours since I applied this foundation, and I think I kind of have an idea of what I think about it. I feel like the first thing I have to mention is that the foundation, it's pretty expensive. I feel like $52 is definitely not on the cheap side. You are going to have to break the bank a little bit to get this. So if I am spending that much money, I think it has to be a foundation that is literally going to blow me out of the water like the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk does. I feel like this one is so worth it. That is the only reason why I keep buying this, because there's so many other ones that are still expensive and in that range, but just perform a little bit better than this one. And there's so many other ones that are from the drugstore that are only $10 to $15 and literally like trump this one overall. So I did enjoy the packaging. I feel like the packaging is definitely a plus. We definitely have nothing to say about that. I can't deny that. It is really, really pretty. I love the fact that it does have a little pump right here. The SPF part of it, I feel like was really nice. I also felt like it was very long wearing. It didn't really like fade off on any places. After 10 hours, I feel like it looks pretty nice on the outside of the face. Now, I do have to say some things. If you're ever going to get this, I would definitely go to store and swatch it and give it time to oxidize, because it will oxidize just a tiny little bit. But I feel like when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel like the undertone of it changed, which is kind of weird to me, because when I first applied it, it was kind of really close to my arms right here. And I feel like now you can kind of see it together because I have the lights right on my face. But if I were to step back, my face is slightly darker than my body. I can see it on my mirror over here. So it's just slightly like golden, which doesn't bother me. I feel like that is very fixable. Obviously it did come off right here because I had my glasses. I can't really help that, but I did think that it was looking a little bit patchy over here on my forehead, and right here I feel like it was showing a lot of texture. I do have dry skin, so I feel like this would be good for dry skin and normal skin. Don't know really how this would perform on oily skin, so I don't want to say that, because I feel like I'm looking pretty dewy, not in a bad way. Like, my skin looks pretty healthy, but there's some places where you can definitely tell that I have foundation on. I definitely don't love that. I did like the fact that it didn't have any flashback when I took a picture outside. It was after actually 6 or 7 hours of wear, so that was really good that it was looking that good at that time. And I have definitely worn this foundation for a long time. I feel like foundations just tend to wear out after a while. That's just something that just, you know, happens because, you know, the weather, you're definitely like leaning or doing something, touching your face, this and that, and things just really do happen. So I don't think that anybody's looking for a foundation that would actually last 24 hours, but I do have other foundations that definitely last a little bit longer than this one. I did set it with only a pressed powder, so that can be another reason, because if I would have gone with a loose powder, maybe it would last longer, especially on my forehead. I think the other thing I want to mention is that this Embryolisse Late Cream Primer that I use is very moisturizing. So I think there's some things in this foundation that not make it moisturizing, but definitely make it a little bit more radiant and dewy, where this combination maybe made it too dewy. So maybe I will try it with another, you know, primer underneath, maybe put a mattifying primer on my forehead to kind of prevent it from looking like this, a little bit patchy. And I also feel like it is not only patchy, but it kind of like cracked a little bit. So that's what worries me. I don't want to deal with that when I'm spending $52 for a foundation. So I don't want to say I hate this foundation. I also don't want to say I love it, because I think I have to just test it out a little bit more. It might go back. I am still happy with the shades, and I'm still happy with how it wears out here. But I think right here, I really have to figure out what is going on. So thank you so much for tuning in this wear test. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to subscribe below, like this video, and I will see you on my next one. Bye!